Everybody, welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name, and Maelle got nerfed. Both her weapon and Stendhal got nerfed. So what is the new meta? Well, I'm reporting, if you're still playing Maelle, it's still Stendhal. I still think this is the highest damage single skill that she has. Okay, let's be honest. The real meta is going to be Grammage. Grammage is the most powerful skill in the game, probably. But let's assume that you're not always going to have access to it every turn because you're not that late in the game. If you're using this every turn, then you're probably already have beaten the game, or you're so strong that it doesn't matter. But if you're not using Grammage, then Stendhal is probably the next best skill. I'm going to give we're going to show that build and how it works, but also because it's changed up a little bit. But also a runner-up here is Burning Canvas. I think Burning Canvas is arguably better if you cannot one-shot them. If 50 million or 60 million isn't going to be enough to one-shot, I think Burning Canvas is better because you could do this again and again and again and again, and it'll maintain, you'll get into offensive stance way more. Stendhal is more of a one-shot trying to kill him. This does almost the same amount of damage, and I think it has more upside, but I think overall, from one-shot potential, it's probably not quite as good. And a final honorable mention to Combustion here. Combustion is going to get you a couple million damage, but it's just not quite where it needs to be. If they made this so it could consume up to 100 burn stacks or something, this would probably be the most powerful ability in the game. But it being at 10 is still good, and I think this is going to be one of your better skills in the early game. It's very easy to get 10 burn stacks. Now, as far as the weapon goes, I actually think Brulurum is the weapon that I'm going to default to most of the time. You can see here, actually, the build I was doing, apparently I didn't even have my power up, so we're actually going to switch that before we do the test here. But basically, critical hits apply burn, base attacks apply burn, which means they apply 2 burn. If you crit with your base attack, it means it applies 3 burn. If you have double burn, then they each apply 6 burn. Point is, this will get the burn very high. Now, that doesn't matter for Stendhal very much. So for Stendhal, you could still use the same old Virtuoso thing, but I don't think it's as good now that it's not doubling all of the damage that you deal. I think that you're probably going to want to use, honestly, if you're not into the game where you're getting a bunch of shields, then Stalum is really good. But I'm just I'm so happy with this weapon. It's got great scaling stats, and it just does a bunch of burn. However, there are always other skills you can use, but it's good in the early game, mid game, and it's even good in the late game. So what is the build doing? This build is built around Maelle being our damage dealer. We're going to do one run with Stendhal and one with Burning Canvas, and then maybe we'll throw a Combustion in there for fun as well. Now, as for the Pictos, it's kind of hard to go into every specific one that you need, but because the sky's the limit. You can keep adding more and more and more and getting more powerful. But the ones I would say are the most important are like the auto powerful, greater powerful, the damage ones. At Death's Door, burn affinity, shield affinity, and powerful shields. And Immaculate, I think, works. Warming up. All these are just damage ones. These are ones you're going to want to use. And then basically energizing stuff to make it so you can get all your energy up. And of course, Cheater if you have it. So again, sky's the limit. It's pretty modular, the whole building system. So you can just do weaker versions of what I'm showing you at earlier stages in the game. And really, that's all it is for her. Just get as much damage as possible. But the most important one is the shield one, is the powerful shield. That's the one that's going to give us the most bang for our buck and how we're doing it. Powerful shields. So you get 10% increased damage per shield point on self. And you get this in the little red zone up here. There's a merchant that has it. That's the Endless Night Sanctuary. There's a merchant in there that has it behind a couple fights. Besides that, the characters have pretty specific roles as well. I have them set up both to support Stendhal and to support Burning Canvas in different ways. So if you want to get the most amount of burn possible, Lune is probably the best at it. Lune, sorry. It's one of those two, I forget. They haven't had voice acting in a while, all right? It's been a week since I've heard anyone talk in this game. So if you get this weapon here, the Coralim, critical hits apply burn. What's very important here is the way this works with Stormcaller is every single time anyone attacks, you do a Stormcaller shot. And that Stormcaller shot, if it crits, will apply burn. And it'll apply double burn if you have double burn. So you'll get, anytime any character deals any damage, you will get 2 or 4 bonus burn on top of it. So you can get to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of burn with Stormcaller with this weapon easily. But her and Monaco here have a very similar secondary goal. They are both going to have, and this is for the one-shot build, and I think it's actually super legit. You're going to have auto death combined with shielding death. So shielding death, on death, allies gain 3 shield points. And auto death is you die when right away when it starts. And then I also have second chance to revive. And so this is going to give Maelle 6 bonus shields. And she already starts with, well, I think 3. So she is going to automatically start with 9 shields, which is going to be a 90% damage boost. And that's basically it. What Monaco's weapon isn't really important. It doesn't need to be Monaco. We're not actually using him for any of his skills in this situation, although I'm sure you could. But Lune is very important for the Stormcaller. Other than that, it's probably better, honestly, to use the double damage ability here. But I just don't really use her because I kind of want to save it if I ever do a future playthrough where I could kind of play around. But yeah, let's go ahead and show exactly what the damage is, how we do it. And so we'll do a couple ones here. We'll start with Strendhal. Sorry, had to change my attributes. I forgot. Also, keep in mind, we are not using a roulette. The main reason we're not doing that is just for consistency, so I don't have to do this like 4 times if I get unlucky coin flips. But so when we do our damage, just imagine it's double. So first thing you notice, we join the fight. Both of our characters die. Boom. Now we have 9 shields on our character here. She is currently stanceless. However, we will be using Strendhal, but not yet. First thing we're going to do is we just want to attack. It doesn't really matter how many times you attack. I like trying to attack until I get a mark to see if I can keep it on. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So now we go up back to energy again. The reason we did that was to apply defenseless on him. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attack until we get a mark. So we got a mark. You could keep going if you want, but I don't really care. Now we're going to use last chance. And so we get a 3rd turn in a row because I have the, what the heck's it called? Shortcut. I have shortcut on. And so you actually get 3 turns in a row. So now we're at 1 HP with 9 shields. He has he has lower defense. We have greater power. I don't know if we have greater defense shred, but he's got a mark on him. So we're guaranteed to we're doing 200% damage plus the normal mark damage. And Strendhal does remove your shields, but it doesn't remove it till after you attack. So if you're in a longer fight, Burning Canvas is going to be better. But let's go ahead and use it here and see how much damage we get. 1 and 2. This is New Game Plus. We did 40 million damage, meaning if we had roulette on, we could have just done 80 million damage, okay? That we did 41 million damage total, but yeah, it's still just as broken as it was. Don't even get me started about Gamage. Gamage is over twice as powerful as this. So the game is still completely busted, right? But now you need to put in a little more work to make this happen. Now let's go into the Burning Canvas. Now Burning Canvas is very similar in power level, except you could do it way more consistently, but it's not quite as powerful right off the gate. So basically what I do here is I just start using Burning Canvas as soon as I can, and I don't stop. What I will do, is just for the sake of doing the most damage we can in a hit, I will basically do what I did last time, right? We'll go all the way down. It doesn't matter. We'll just hit him a bunch. We'll go back up to 9. And now we're going to do basically the exact same setup. But this is not what's required. So keep in mind, the damage of Burning Canvas scales with the amount of burn on the target. However, it doesn't infinitely stack. It says that it does, but I swear to God that it doesn't. That's somewhere around 100 to 200. The damage like peaks and you don't continue to get any more. That might be a bug. It might be some sort of overflow thing, but I swear that it really, really hard falls off. Where the point where you don't really notice it. But we're gonna use last chance here. All right, so this is the exact same setup we just had, but now instead of Strendhal, we're gonna use Burning Canvas. So this does 5 hits, so they're not all gonna be marked. But what's good about this is it only costs 5 energy. So we still killed him in exactly 1 shot, right? So we still did 25 million damage. So we would have done, with roulette, we wouldn't have done 50 million. We would have done roughly 25% more because it is about 25% increased damage over on average with roulette. So that is still very, very strong. But what's extra good about that ability is that this ability is good as soon as you hit Act 3. Strendhal is not as good right when you hit Act 3. You kind of, once you go all in and you're getting the really, really final OP builds, then that's when that ability really takes the lead again after a roughly 80% damage nerf. I mean, absolutely insane. But this ability right out the gate, Burning Canvas, is just really good. You don't really need to do any setup or the last chances. You could start using it and it's going to be weak, but because of the way it scales and you could use it so consistently, it's honestly just kicks butt. So let's take a look at how much burn we can get just for this build, because it's not all about Maelle, even though it kind of is. Boom. So we do that twice in a row. And now this is what I wanted to show you. So, right, they're at 40 burn. If we do Stormcaller here, I would like to get the, you know, it'd be nice to get the stains first, but this weapon doesn't give you those stains. So now they're at 40 burn, and every time we attack, like, look at this. 52 burn, 54 burn, 58 burn, and now, like, 60, 62, 68, we're even missing 74, 80, like... It just goes kind of crazy. But just for shits and gigs, we will do a 3-turn here as well. So now we're up to 100. So let's go down. Let's go all the way down to 1, right? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 6, 9, 9, 8. It can be hard to lose your energy sometimes with the late game builds. All right, so he has a mark. Let's use Last Chance. And so now he has 232 burns. So again, you don't have to go do all of this stuff, but the point is that you can, you know, you could just use Burning Canvas again and again and again and get so much burn on them, especially when you're using Lune. I just think Lune sounds better. So like, right, this is, I don't know, that was probably even more damage, so it probably scaled even harder. So it was obviously just kind of a sick-ass ability. So finally, let's look at Combustion. So Combustion is definitely going to be the weakest of these abilities, but I don't want you to undersell it. If you're not doing insanely overpowered stuff, if you're doing damage caps and stuff, Combustion, especially, you could use Combustion very early in the game with this weapon and get a very similar build. It won't be a same power level, but it is a very viable build for a large part of the game. And as you get later into the game, when you get to Act 3, it does kind of pop off, but then it'll be overshadowed. But basically what you do here, right, you just, all you need to do is get them to 10 burn. They're already at 12. Now, I am going to try to give it its best go here. I am going to do the full damage setup, but, like, you could use it right here, right? Let's just use Combustion here, and then we will we will Last Chance next turn. Right, so not even quite a million on these ones, but now once we get to Virtuoso stance, it'll be quite a bit better. So we don't even need to hit him right now. There's no reason to do the burn because it doesn't scale off burn. It consumes up to 10 burn. So let's Last Chance.
Last chance.
And now when we use our Combustion, same exact thing, right? Bada bing. That still did 8 million damage, right? So I don't think you should just overlook that ability. And imagine if it, Combustion, if it didn't cap at 10. It's only 10 burn. It would be absolutely bonkers. So those abilities are all very strong. All right, and just because I figured we should, let's go ahead and do a Gamage as well, because we could just use it as a damage comparison. By the way, looking good, Maelle. So let's see how much damage we do here. Bada bang. Perfect. He died? What? 72 million. So it actually is not that much stronger, apparently. But it is definitely stronger. I might have messed up the damage there, but the point is that would do 140 million if you just put on the roulette, right? So kind of crazy. So what's the moral of the story here? The moral of the story is they nerfed one ability super hard, and it kind of had no real impact. It did in the sense that if you're the average player just using that ability, you're not going to start one-shotting shit without even trying. But if you're a bit of a min-maxer and you start getting a powerful team together, you're still going to be, you're probably not one-shotting the super boss, right? With 50 million or even like 100 million damage, right? So it's going to have some effort there. But that boss doesn't matter if you one-shot. I already have a boss guide, but you can stun lock him. So it doesn't matter if you do one-shot damage. I killed him 1 million damage at a time, right? Like 125 hits of 1 million or whatever his HP is. So in New Game Plus, you're probably not going to one-shot him. But still, honestly, almost everything in the game is going to absolutely get bent when you do this. And if it's like a really hard boss fight, all you have to do is save, put it on roulette, and then double your damage. And if it doesn't work, you know, you get the 50% damage, you just reload, right? It's a single player RPG. You got all the time you need. So Last Chance is absolutely busted. Now, because you don't get to automatically go into the Virtuoso stance and do all the most powerful stuff, Last Chance is something you want to be using. Strendhal is still very good. Burning Canvas is very good. And Phantom Strike's the best AoE. However, don't just ignore Combustion, especially in the earlier parts of the game. This is a big, big damage multiplier. And also, it's very good in the mid game, and it's very good in the late game before you get a stronger build together where you could start using Burning Canvas every turn. Twice a turn, and Strendhal, when it finally pops off, it just beats everything. So that's it, guys. New meta dropped. It's same as the old meta with a little bit of differences maybe in how you execute it, but roughly it's going to be the same. Anyway, guys, that's all for today. Much love. Also, I know I'm waiting until the very end to say it. This says 25 damage multiplier. It is 15. The mod just doesn't have the updated numbers. All right, I'll do a video on this soon on the mods and stuff, but not today. Anyway, much love. See you on the flip flops. Bye.